This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. As you always know, I stay late, but I'm always great. And I apologize for the wait. But you waited patiently, like I said before, and now I'm going to deliver what you came for. So, 2017 NFL mock draft Louie T style. A little different format. We going live. Hey, how about that? 2-part series. I'm going to give you the first 16 of my selections, and then we're going to jump into the other back half, 16 picks on the second video. Also have some different comments for you. And maybe we'll take some comments. Maybe we won't. We'll see. If we don't, I might start another live stream and we can discuss the mock draft that I've put forth. I may let you do that in the comment section. We'll see what happens. But in any event, have some big announcements at the end of the second mock. So stay tuned for that as well. So with that being said, let's get to the festivities this evening, shall we? And we start with the #1 overall pick in the draft. It's open for business, and it's the Cleveland Browns. And there's been a lot of discussion as to what the Browns would do with the first overall pick. There's been a little bit of internal struggle as to go with the quarterback or you go with the can't-miss surefire prospect in Myles Garrett. What are we talking about here, folks? I mean, seriously, none of these quarterbacks are worth passing up Myles Garrett for. It is as simple as that. I don't want to have you in suspense for the #1 overall pick in this draft. You know what this is. Let's not pretend like we don't. First pick overall goes to the Cleveland Browns. With the first pick in the 2017 NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns select, you guessed it, Myles Garrett, defensive end out of Texas A&M. This is the logical, no-brainer pick. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you don't make a mistake here and get cute and try to reinvent the wheel. They're giving you a slam dunk. Put the ball in the basket, turn the card in with Myles Garrett's name on it, and move on. If you like one of the quarterbacks, figure out how to come back. You got 97 picks, bruh. Figure out a way to come back up and get what you want, but you don't pass on Myles Garrett. That is for sure. Let's go ahead and fill that out. Myles Garrett is your first pick in this draft. So we're going to go ahead and put him in as the #1 overall pick. So we move on to the second pick in this draft. That belongs to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they were definitely open for business, and John Lynch has already said as much. Look, man, if someone comes up here, and I know a lot of hoopla would have been made had the Browns decided to go with the quarterback and leave Myles Garrett. Do you take Myles Garrett? Do you start auctioning off that second overall pick if you're the 49ers? Kind of a tough conundrum to be in, but they're not in that position because the Browns did the smart thing. They took Myles Garrett. So now if you're the 49ers at 2, there may be a team or two interested in coming up and getting one of the guys at the second selection in this draft. But I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give up what it's going to take to move the 49ers off the second selection. So let's talk about the 49ers situation. Look, John Lynch and new head coach Kyle Shanahan both came in thinking the same thing. John Lynch, an ex-safety, says, you know what I want? I want my own version of Earl Thomas. Hell, who doesn't want their own version of Earl Thomas? After doing all those games on Fox and actually sitting down and talking to Earl Thomas, seeing how much he loves the game of football, him being an ex-safety, knowing the intricacies of the position, he loves what he brings to the table and the intangibles. You fast forward to Kyle Shanahan coming on board, look where he just came from. Atlanta, transforming the defense, making Keanu Neal their first-round selection, and what that did for that defense, set a tone. They are on the same page here. You look at the 49ers roster, and you say to yourself, is that guy on their roster? Is there a fast, physical, hard-hitting safety that can make plays on the football from LSU? Oh, wait, by the way, that doesn't get a concussion every time he hits somebody? That should clear it up. No, there isn't. And so you go looking for your Earl Thomas in this draft, and you select him at number 2 overall. The San Francisco 49ers select safety Jamal Adams out of LSU. It's the logical pick. You would love to see them get some pass rushing help here at 2. A guy like Solomon Thomas makes a lot of sense. Even a guy like Alabama defensive lineman Jonathan Allen comes to mind as a guy that could make a lot of sense here at 2 for the 49ers. I just don't see them passing on the opportunity to get a guy like Jamal Adams that can come in and change the game for them. They take Adams at the safety position, and it really jumpstarts their defense. 49ers go with the safety out of LSU, Jamal Adams, with the 2nd overall pick. Let's move on to the 3rd pick in the draft. This belongs to the Bears. Chicago Bears on the clock. And they're in one of those positions where they look around and they say, okay, we could use a safety. We could use some pass rush help. We could use some interior help. How do we kill as many birds with one stone and still get the best player available in our mind sight? So you look at the Bears situation. They need help up front. They need help in the secondary. But you look at their secondary, it's young. They got a bunch of stuff back there. You could probably get away with not taking a safety here. There's enough of those guys to go around in this draft. You can reach back in the 2nd or the 3rd, possibly as deep as the 4th round, and still get you a quality safety in this draft. Won't be the quality of, say, a Malik Hooker, who's still on the board right now. But hey, that's the type of decisions you have to make. It's all about TDs when you're picking in the top 10. Tough decisions, that is. And they got one to make. But the smart one in this league is all about quarterbacks and the ability to stop quarterbacks. You want to stop a quarterback, you need to get pressure on the quarterback. There are a couple of guys that can do that from the defensive line position in this draft. One's name is Jonathan Allen. The other's name is Solomon Thomas. Which one do the Bears decide to pick at 3, you ask? Well, with the 3rd overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Bears select Solomon Thomas. To me, the most well-rounded defensive lineman in this draft. If you're taking Myles Garrett out of the equation, to me, the next best guy is Solomon Thomas. His skill set screams big-time impact football player at the next level. Bears, go and get a guy that can come in and help them change the game right away up front, something that they are desperately lacking on that defense as we speak. So we're going to fill in Solomon Thomas and him going to the Bears at number 3. And then we're going to move on to the next pick, which is held by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, with the Jaguars, okay, it's funny because every year I find myself saying the same exact thing. This is a luxury pick. How is it a luxury when you're 5-11, 4-12, 3-13 every year? Look, now that I don't have the answer to, but if you look at the Jaguars roster, there's not a bunch of glaring needs. You don't look at their roster and say, damn, they could sure use one of those, or they could sure use one of those. They got some of everything. They've got pass rushers. They've got interior defensive linemen. They just went out and spent $60 million on Calais Campbell. They spent a boatload the year before on the Denver defensive tackle. They've got a bunch of guys up front. Then you look at the linebacker position. Remember, they stole Miles Jack last year. Not to mention, they've got a slew of other guys in there. Paul Plus-Nuzny is still chugging along at like age 877. They've got a ton of stuff. Secondary-wise, they drafted Jalen Ramsey last year, and they're starting to build up the secondary. And you look around, and they've got young guys everywhere out there. So you're like, defense is fine. You look at the quarterback position. Oh, there's a problem right there. But they're going to give him a chance under their new head coach, and they're going to give him a new chance with this new regime. But I don't know if it's going to matter or not. But they've got stuff on the offensive line, the running back position. Huh? Wait, stop. Running back? They got plenty of receivers. Tight end could be a pick here, possibly, but why? But running back, you say? That's pretty interesting. Funny that you say that, because I look at their team and they don't have a guy. They got a bunch of guys, but they don't have a guy at the running back position. Now, you could say to yourself, 4 could be a hot spot for a team looking to come up. Possibly get yourself a quarterback. If you're the Browns, say, maybe this is a spot you want to come. But if you're the Jaguars, you got to think about something. If you go back to 12, let's say the Browns want to come up here because they're scared of the Jets, who may take a quarterback. Say you want to come up. Are you really going to still get the guy that you really want, which is Leonard Fournette? Not if you go behind the Carolina Panthers, who sit at 8. You're not. And so the Jags faced with a tough decision. Now, look, if the package is enticing enough, maybe they pull the trigger. But there's no doubt in my mind that the guy that they want at number 4 is simply Leonard Fournette. With the 4th overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select running back Leonard Fournette. This is no doubt the best running back to me, pure running back. And I'm not talking about pass catching. You know how this league is starting to transform into guys touching the rock 20 times, but it's 5 catches, 15 rushes. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a pure guy, running back that you turn around and you hand it off to 20, 25, 30 times if need be. Not a lot of teams are doing that, but if you needed to do that, here's the guy that's going to allow you to do that. And so if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, Blake Bortles stinks. And the only way to mask that funk is to be able to run the football and take a little bit of pressure off of Blake Bortles. Maybe even be able to push the football down the field with some play action fake. You got the receivers and the speed to do it out wide. Be nice if you could actually complement all of those targets that you have to throw the football with or to with a guy like Leonard Fournette, who the Jaguars take with their 4th overall selection. So we move to the 5th pick in the draft, and this belongs to the Tennessee Titans. And this is a situation where you look at their GM, John Robinson, and you say, what are you going to do, John? You just cut one of your cornerbacks last week. The cornerback position was a steep and very, very big need before you decided to part ways with another one of your cornerbacks over the last week. So now it is of the utmost importance that you get a top-notch quality corner in the first round. Now, this isn't one of the, and I know this is a deep draft and you can kind of push back needs like corner and pass rusher maybe and safety to the later rounds. But you're not a team that can afford to do that. You need to take a corner, not now, like right now. But when opportunity knocks, you gotta be able to open the door. Door's open. Who's at the door? None other than the Cleveland Browns. This is what you accumulated all these picks for, right? All these assets, as we like to call them, right? So that you could get the guy that you wanted at the quarterback position, correct? Right. So the Browns picked up the phone, called the Tennessee Titans, because they knew they had to get in front of the Jets. Those boys are trigger happy, man. They ready to pull the trigger on yet another signal caller after spending a second round pick on Christian Hackenberg a season ago. Those boys are trigger finger happy, ready to pull it and get them another QB. The Browns say, that's our merchandise, not yours. Titans say, hey, I want your second round pick to start the second round of the 2017 NFL Draft. Brown said, you got two options. I could give you that one, or you can take the one you gave me last year, and I'll give you another one next year, and it'll be mine. I got 3 of them next year. I'll give you the one that probably holds the most value, mine, next year. So I'll give you 2 twos if you let me come up to number 5 and get my guy. Titans said, well, you know what? I don't have a second round pick this year, so I could use a second rounder this year, and I'll get another one next year, which will probably be pretty high because it's the Browns. Why not? And so here comes the Cleveland Browns to come claim what is theirs with the 5th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. Not the Tennessee Titans, but the Cleveland Browns select Mitchell Trubisky in exchange for 2 second-round picks, one in the 2017 NFL Draft, one in the 2018 NFL Draft. If you're going by the draft board and the point system, takes 500 points to come up all the way from 12 to 5. That would meet the quota there, 2 second-rounders. Browns get their man. Titans slide back to 12 and pick up 2 second-rounders, one in 2017, one in 2018. So Browns get both of the guys that they coveted in the first round. Great. That's why you make all of those selections if you're the Browns. So let's pencil in our man, and let's get Mitchell Trubisky up here. Let's get the Browns in here first, though. And we're going to get good old Mitch. Or his mama named him Mitchell. I'm going to call him Mitchell Trubisky, as he is now a Cleveland Brown. The Ohio boy stays home. So we move on to the 6th pick. Oh, man. Damn, Jets. You were that close. That stings. But that's what the draft is all about. So if you're the Jets now, you look at your situation. You don't want any of the other quarterbacks at 6 per se. Mitchell Trubisky was the guy you had your eyes dead set on. But you're at 6 for a reason, because you're a bad football team. And when you're a bad football team, you can't afford to pass up on the best player available. Some really good football players sitting around here waiting to be plucked. You can't sit here and dwell on the fact that the Browns jumped in front of you like the sneaky little bandits that they are and snatched up the guy you had your eyes on. You got to move on. Darrelle Revis, no longer a Jet. Your cornerback situation in dire straits. Mo Claiborne, you bring him on board, he's Mo Claiborne. Okay, don't get too excited about that. And he's due for an injury like he is usually every season anyway. The best value staring you right in the face is a guy that the Titans were going to take if they would have stayed at 5, but they didn't. And so if you're the Jets, you need help up front, and you're thinking about trading a guy that can help you up front, but hey, he's a headache. You can get another one. That's the thought process in this draft somewhere. Got enough stuff up front. Could use an edge rusher, but this isn't the time to get one. You need to go get yourself a corner. And so with the 6th overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Marshawn Lattimore. This guy, a lot of people feel like this guy is the next big thing at the cornerback position. You plug him, you play him, and you don't worry about one side of the field if you're the New York Jets, and you hope, you pray that Morris Claiborne stays healthy and that this thing works exactly to plan. Calvin Pryor back there hitting guys, Marshawn Lattimore on one side, Mo Claiborne on the other side, and you hope that this thing starts to come together in New York, or else heads are going to roll. So let's go ahead and get Lattimore in for the Jets at number 6. As the Jets go corner after being, guess you could say, molested for the 5th overall selection, as the quarterback that they longed for was snatched up and they had to go to plan B. So let's go to the 7th overall selection in this draft, and that belongs to the Los Angeles Chargers. And so you're talking Chargers football. This is a team that I think defensively they're not that far away. Every year we say the same thing. If they could just stay healthy, they usually don't. But in any event, when guys are healthy, this is a pretty talented Chargers football team, especially on the defensive side of football. But they're missing that one impact player that can change the game for them at the safety position. And go figure, what do you know? There's one more impact safety left on the board. After losing Eric Weddle a couple of years ago in free agency, the time is now to fill that void. If you can get Jason Verrett to stay healthy, you can get the kind of play you got out of your corner last year that you got from the Packers and Casey Hayward, and all of a sudden now, this next guy, Mr. Adai, oh my gosh, that secondary doesn't look all that bad. With the 7th overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Malik Hooker. Back-to-back Buckeyes. As the corner Marshawn Lattimore comes off the board, and immediately thereafter, Malik Hooker follows him off the board as the Chargers get their man at number 7 and fill a huge void on their defense at the safety position. So let's go ahead and give the Chargers their draft pick of Malik Hooker as we move on to the 8th overall selection and the Carolina Panthers. Now, in every draft where there's an abundance of talent, there's always someone that starts to slip and slide a little bit. He's a little greasy, man. Starts to slip and slide a little bit. And in this particular draft, a guy that you thought could easily be the 2nd pick, at one time, we were even contemplating and having a very small, quiet discussion about him as a number 1 overall potential pick. But you know, sometimes things happen, and in the draft, we've seen it time and time again, and we see it every year. There's always a guy that slips and slides. At 8, the Panthers, they were looking for a big-time running back like Leonard Fournette. He's not there. They lose Ted Ginn Jr. in free agency. They need to infuse their team with speed. There's no more Philly Brown. They've got a bunch of big guys who don't run really fast. So how do you combat that? You combat that by going out and getting speed. That's generally how you fix that problem. But guess what? Dave Gettleman loves himself a good bargain. Then again, who doesn't? I love a good deal. But you know, old cheapo, Dave Gettleman loves himself a deal. He just had to break off a dude that he really didn't want to break off, but he knew this guy's a big-time player. And K1 Short had to break him off. 5 years, $80 million. And he looks up and he says, damn, Star Lotulelei is up next year. We just picked up his 5th-year option. He's going to want bread next year. I got a deal staring me in the face, though. How can I turn it down? I can get rid of Star next year and get some more cheap labor. This is great. Never thought this guy would fall to me. And we've seen him do this. They've got linebackers on top of linebackers, and they draft another linebacker. You know he's not afraid to go get more beef. It's what's for dinner. And so the slide stops here with the 8th overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft. The Carolina Panthers select Alabama defensive tackle Jonathan Allen. Mr. Gettleman just got himself a steal, and he feels damn good about it. One of the best, if not the best, interior pass rushing defensive tackle in this draft. You get him, you pair him up with K1 Short, Star Lotulelei. In passing situations, you could put together a nice interior package, get as many pass rushers on the field as possible, add Jonathan Allen to this mix. Panthers are a dangerous team up front. So, Panthers get a gift in their lap, and they take advantage, taking Jonathan Allen at number 8. So John Allen off the board as we move on to the 9th pick, held by the Cincinnati Bengals. So, much to do about nothing in the offseason. A lot of people thought, this is it for Marvin Lewis. They didn't extend him. He's going to retire. Old Marv said, I ain't going nowhere, man. Shut your trap. And so they continue to try to build in Cincinnati. They've got an abundance of talent on that football team. They are always among one of the most talented teams in the league. They draft extremely well. They do the thing that other teams are afraid to do. They go after the guy that may have a little bit of baggage off the field. They clean those guys up. They shine them up. Sometimes they still get in trouble on the field, but it's the Cincinnati Bengal way. And I know Cincinnati Bengal fans take offense to that. You can't get mad at the truth. This thing that I have on my face that is moving right now is called a fact factory. That's all I know how to do is spit facts. That's what you guys do. And this is another situation of a talented football player that may have a little off the field baggage. I don't think it's that much. Hey, he's got a daughter. I generally like guys that have children at that young age. It keeps them very grounded. Had a little slip up, a temporary moment of insanity, we'll call it, at the combine. But one thing's for sure. You're talking about an explosive linebacker. This is as explosive as it gets for a Cincinnati Bengal team that, let's face it, not that explosive at the linebacker position. Love Vontaze Burfict, but he's injured often, and he's not very fast. You infuse this Cincinnati Bengals defense with a little bit of speed, and look out, they could be dangerous. With the 9th overall selection, the 2017 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Reuben Foster, linebacker, Alabama. To me, this makes too much sense. A guy that has all of this talent, some teams are a little nervous about him not knowing the X's and O's. Just turn him loose, okay? Let's not try to make this thing into rocket science. He's athletic, he's gifted, turn him loose. Cincinnati Bengals would do exactly that for him. So, let's give the Bengals their selection of Reuben Foster with the 9th overall pick as he looks to help bolster a linebacking core that was starting to get a little up there in age. He infuses it with some speed and gives them a lot of pop at that linebacker position. So we move on to the 10th overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft, and it belongs to the Buffalo Bills. Nobody and I mean nobody, misses the playoffs like the Buffalo Bills. So the offseason was filled with a lot of drama in terms of the quarterback position. Were they going to get rid of Tyrod Taylor? They finally got rid of E.J. Manuel. Were they going to get rid of Tyrod too? He redid his deal. He's staying in Buffalo. For how long? I don't know the answer to that. But he's going to be their quarterback for 2017. So that alleviates that direct need. You look at the receiver position, a little dicey. But if you feel like Samuel Watkins is actually going to finally stay healthy, then you still have a number one receiver. You can get a receiver a little bit later on. Be nice to grab one now, but you don't need one now. You can get one later and have that guy fill the void that was left by Robert Woods, who vacated for Los Angeles. But what you can't fill a little bit later on, at least not with an elite guy, it's the cornerback position. You just lost arguably the best player on your defense, is Stephon Gilmore. And anytime the Patriots feel the need to poach one of your players, you know you just lost something valuable. They don't come and get your stuff for no reason. Ask the Dolphins when they came and took Wes Welker. Ask the Bills when they came and took Chris Hogan from them last year. They don't take your stuff in the division unless it's worth taking. And Stephon Gilmore was worth taking. So, if you're the Bills, you need to replace that position. You need to replenish what was lost. So really good corner sitting right here for you to take. If I were you, I'd go ahead, turn the card in with this next name on it. The 10th overall selection, the 2017 NFL Draft. The Buffalo Bills select Garyon Conley, cornerback, the Ohio State University. Now, I'll tell you what. That's 3 Ohio State secondary members in the top 10. 3 out of the last 5 selections have been Ohio State Buckeye secondary members. Very talented group. Every single one of those boys can ball. Add Garyon Conley to that list. Buffalo Bills just got themselves one heck of a football player at 10 to replace a guy that is going to be sorely missed in Stephon Gilmore. Let's give the Bills their selection of Garyon Conley and move on to New Orleans. That's right, the New Orleans Saints is now on the clock at number 11. So you look at the Saints, and every year I ask myself the same question when talking Saints football. What the hell are you doing? I never know what direction these guys are going in. Is Drew Brees going to be back? Is Sean Payton here for the long haul? Why are you trading away another receiver? Last offseason, it was Kenny Stills. This offseason, it was Brandon Cooks. The offseason before that, it was Jimmy Graham. I never know what these guys are going to do. But I can tell you this. That offense continues to roll every year, despite the parts changing. As long as they got number 9 under center and Sean Payton with the headset on, the offense is going to roll. But you know what doesn't roll? That goddamn defense. Boy, is it bad. And as much as you would like to add, say, a receiver or a tight end or something of that ilk, right here, makes a lot of sense. You can't do it. You need help on defense. You got to stop trying to win shootouts 45-42. You can't give up 47 points and expect to win. You can't outduel teams like you did the Giants a couple of years ago, 51-48. That's not cool. You got to start stopping teams. And I talked about this earlier, and I'm going to say it again. In order to stop quarterbacks in this league, you must have a pass rush. You can have all the great corners you want, but if you're not getting to the quarterback, it doesn't matter. Now, you'll get Haoli Kikaha back off of injury. That might help. Cam Jordan is still playing ball at a very high level. That's going to help. But he needs more help. And so the Saints at 11 are going to do exactly that. Give him some help. With the 11th overall selection, the 2017 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Derek Barnett, defensive end, Tennessee. Probably the most pure pass rusher in this draft. That distinction goes to Derek Barnett. He's got moves. He's relentless. Smart football player. Great leader. Everything you could ask for in a football player, you're getting in this package in Derek Barnett. He played in the SEC, was one of the most productive players in the SEC. He's looking to continue that at the next level. So Saints bolster their front, looking to get after the quarterback with the acquisition of defensive end Derek Barnett. Let's give the Saints their selection of Derek Barnett as we move on to, all of a sudden now, the Tennessee Titans, who traded back from 5 to 12. Had a chance to take a corner. Decided to pass on that opportunity because the opportunity to get more picks was just too enticing. I can't blame them for that. So now you got this selection, you got a second round pick, and you get another one next year. Sounds good to me. So if you're the Titans, there were two glaring needs coming into this draft to me, if you ask me. Wide receiver and cornerback. You probably passed up on the opportunity to get a corner here at 12. You can get one later. This is a deep draft. And you went out and you signed the expatriate corner in the offseason. So you feel okay about it. It's not like it's just bare, but you need a number one. You still need a number one corner. You could probably get that in the draft. Even in the second round. Now that you have a second round pick, you should be able to address that, right? Right. So here at 12, I look at this pick and I say, just about every receiver is on the board still. Wait a minute. Not just about. Every receiver is still on the board right now. You get an opportunity to pop the top on the wide receiver position. So which one of these boys tickles your fancy? You look at the roster and you say, you got size? Yeah, I got a couple of guys with some size. We good there. Got size and speed? Maybe. But do you have pure, unadulterated speed? Nah, I don't have that. Here's your opportunity to get that. With a guy like Marcus Mariota and that vicious, flavor delicious run game in Tennessee, play action fake should be devastating. And this is the guy that's going to give you an opportunity to take full advantage of what you set last year in motion with the run game. With the 12th overall selection, the 2017 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select wide receiver John Ross, Washington. Woo! That's a nasty pick there, boy. Lots and lots of speed to burn, and this is the perfect home for him. They're going to get him the football out in space. Teams are going to have to respect the run. The Titans were among the best in the league at running the football last year. You add a guy like John Ross to the mix, and all of a sudden now play action fake becomes such a dicey proposition. What do? I don't know. Either you come up to stop the run that's gouging you for 5 a pop, or you leave a guy open that can pop the top, get you for 6, like that. Wouldn't want to be a team in the AFC South after that one. Titans get the first receiver off the board in John Ross. As we move on to the 13th selection in the 2017 NFL Draft. So, we get to the Arizona Cardinals, and you sit here at 13 and you say, look, man, they could use a bunch of stuff. They could use a safety. They could use a corner. They could use an inside linebacker. None of which is really a value pick here at 13. Then I think to myself, what else do they need? And then you start to think, no one wants to be the guy that stays around too long at the party. Party's starting to kind of wind down. Maybe you're a little drunk. Probably time for you to head home. But instead, you decide to knock back another one. Bad move. That's bad news. Now you're the guy pissy drunk laying down on the floor in your own vomit. You should have went home. That's my analogy for the Arizona Cardinals. Don't be the guy that stays around 1 year too long. Carson Palmer is on his last legs. And when I say last, I mean last legs. If you're smart, you'll be proactive and get his replacement now. Give him a year to be groomed, learn the ins and outs of the NFL, learn how to study, learn how to practice, learn how to be a leader. All the while getting tutelage from one of the NFL's best quarterback whisperers in head coach Bruce Arians. It makes too much sense. And after you go to his pro day and watch him throw it 78 yards, you start to fall in love. Butterflies and all kinds of things start flying through the air. Love is in the air. They found a guy that they can marry themselves to at the quarterback position. Man, this guy had a meteoric rise. Don't know if they should pick him, but you need one. And if he's your guy, go get one. So, with the 13th overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select, you guessed it, P-Mac, Patrick Mahomes, the second quarterback, Texas Tech. This guy is not your ordinary gunslinger. I think he's a very smart guy. I think he can pick things up quickly. He needs some time, however, to learn. Perfect situation in Arizona. Might not be the sexiest of picks, but it's a necessary one. Get him now and be able to stash him away, let him learn, and next year, when Carson Palmer finally decides he's going to go home and spend time with his daughter, you cut him loose. I like the selection. Think it's a smart move by the Arizona Cardinals. So let's give the Cardinals their selection of quarterback Patrick Mahomes, the second quarterback taken in this draft. As we continue to mosey our way on to the top 16 in this draft, we move on to the next pick. Belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is a team that in free agency did some things to throw everybody off of the trail, so to speak. Everybody was sniffing around the Eagles. Hey, they need a receiver. Do they? You go out, you get Torrey Smith. Everybody forgot about that, as you should have. But he still can run. Still can pick him up, put him down. Gives Carson Wentz a deep threat, which they lacked a season ago. 1 year deal for Alshon Jeffrey. Never, ever trust a man. 2 first names. I don't trust him. The Eagles do. They gave him a 1 year contract, ton of money. Cool. So do you need a receiver at 14? Maybe. I do know what you do need at 14. Not a receiver. You need cornerback. That's a definite. You can get that later, though. Probably need 2. I didn't tell you that. You need a running back. You know, that'd be really nice right now. Still got a nice slew of guys on the board right now. This wide open offense with Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson pulling the strings. Get a talented, multifaceted back here. Really change the game for you. That could be big time for the Eagles. I think it makes sense. I don't know about you, but I think this is a good selection. With the 14th overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Mr. Do-It-All, Christian McCaffrey. Carson Wentz had to do an awful lot as a rookie last season. No help at all. You go get him a couple of weapons in free agency. You add Christian McCaffrey through the draft. And all of a sudden now, the Eagles have a bolstered special teams unit and now a difference maker in the backfield. Whether you're throwing it to him or handing it to him, Christian McCaffrey is a difference maker. And he landed in a spot where his talents are going to be utilized. So let's get to the Eagles and hand them their selection of, I forgot that quick. Oh yeah, Eagles selected Christian McCaffrey. So you go from there to the Indianapolis Colts at 15. And, boy, O.J. Howard's falling, isn't he? Falling. Thought he would have been gone by now. That's pretty interesting. I said that to say this. He's not going here either. Colts are a very interesting team. They made a nice signing just a couple of days ago in Jonathan Hankins. 3 years, $30 million. Really good contract for Jonathan Hankins. Probably the best defensive free agent left on the market. They still need more help on the defensive side of football. That is a fact. You know where else they need some more help? You guessed it, offensive line. It's pretty bad. And Andrew Luck continues to run for his life. Now, last year they drafted the center out of Alabama, and everybody knew it was coming. And they needed to do that. I think they need to do it one more time. Hit me, baby, one more time. Boom! Give me one more offensive lineman, and I think we might be straight. You could use a running back, too. Boy, is that cupboard bare or what? But you want to run the ball. Doesn't matter who's back there. If you don't have the offensive lineman up front to create space, then it really doesn't matter who's back there. Now, does it? Axe Todd Gurley. They need to protect Andrew Luck. They need to open up holes in the run game. This next guy can help you do both. He has the opportunity to come in and have a Zach Martin type of impact on this Indianapolis Colts football team. And to me, they need that type of football player. And so, with the 15th overall selection in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select, it's not sexy, but it's a necessity, Forrest Lamp. Run, Forrest, run! And he's running to the Indianapolis Colts at number 15 out of Western Kentucky. I think it's a really good pick for a Colts team that is struggling. Jack Newhart went down last year, got injured, has been injured a few times. They could use some interior help. We're going to see if they can finally put together a 5-man unit that can stay healthy, 1, and 2, not only protect Andrew Luck, which should be first and foremost, but also open up some holes in the run game, take some of that pressure off of Andrew Luck. That's what Chuck Pagano really wants to do. It's run the football. Haven't been able to really do that with a lot of success. This guy's going to help them potentially be able to do that. So, let's go ahead and give the Indianapolis Colts Forrest Lamp. And move on to the final pick of this first half of the 2017 NFL Louie T mock draft. So, the Baltimore Ravens sit here at 16, and everything that they could basically ask for is still relatively available. They probably would have loved it if John Ross was still on the board. Give them another option to mull over. But they've got just about the pick of the litter at the receiver position. Only one's come off the board. O.J. Howard's still there. You know they love to connect tight ends. Ozzie Newsome from Alabama loves Alabama football players. That's in play as well. Could go inside linebacker if they choose. Remember, their inside linebacker just retired. That's an option. Just traded away a defensive tackle. That's an option. But if you look at this football team and the biggest need for the Baltimore Ravens, this is a team that was really stagnant a season ago offensively and has been for quite some time. Haven't had quite the weaponry necessary for Joe Flacco to use that talent that he's been blessed with in his right arm. They're looking for a guy that can help them not only win on third downs, which Steve Smith Sr. was a guy that could help them do that they lost in the offseason to retirement. But they're looking to stretch the field as well. How do you get best of both worlds? How do you get both of those packages? A guy that we think can run and a guy that has a big enough body to affect the game on third downs with not only his ability to catch and use his frame, but his route running ability and his ability to run after the catch. Here's an opportunity to get that kind of a football player on your football team and potentially help shape and mold this offense into a high-octane one instead of the low mileage offense that has seen this team struggle over the last two seasons. With the 16th pick in the 2017 NFL draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Corey Davis, wide receiver out of Western Michigan. Gives them the combination of size and speed that they're looking for. Guy that can make things happen after the catch, which is essential for that Ravens offense. Gives them a guy that can stretch the field vertically. You'd like to think that Bashad Perriman can do that, but just in case, why not take an insurance policy here in Corey Davis? And so that rounds out the top 16. Corey Davis is the Ravens selection at 16, rounding out the first half of my mock draft. We will stop here, pick up with picks 17 through 32, and wrap up this mock draft. I thank you for joining me for the first half. Come back and join me for the second half of the Louie T Network 2017 mock draft.